I want to start the show today talking about Google's new Gemini project, which is now put on hold. They've hit the pause button indefinitely, not indefinitely. They're saying a couple weeks. People internally are saying it'll be back online in a couple months. For the uninitiated, which sort of includes me, but I've done a little bit of digging on this. So Gemini is sort of the Google equivalent to ChatGPT. And so it is a artificial intelligence, kind of like a search engine, but it's not only text, it also is images. So you can maybe see where the trouble is. It got in hot water within 12 hours of it launching, maybe 2 weeks ago, because part of what they were attempting to do, according to their CEO of this project, is make sure that the images that you got when you put in a prompt and asked for Gemini to show you something, were very strange. They wanted to be sure that they were appropriate for 2024. I'm trying not to use the word woke, but that's the word I want to use. The problem was, so if you put in like, show me a group of the founding fathers, you would get an African-American woman in founding fathers garb. You would get, let's say, an Asian man. I don't think you'd get a child. I think they were okay with the age thing, but it was historically inaccurate is the word I'll use. Then it got even weirder because then you could say, hey, Gemini, show me a picture of Nazi soldiers during World War II. And it would create an image for you of African-American Nazi soldiers, women Nazi soldiers, ostensibly a Jewish, I have no idea. But that was the one that really got everybody up in arms about it. They came out and explained, okay, here's the problem. We wanted our image results to be quote unquote diverse and woke. But they only accounted for universal kinds of questions. So, hey, Gemini, show me a nurse. Show me a group of people playing at a park. Show me whatever. They did not think ahead about historical questions. So show me the actual history, like who were the founding fathers and what did they look like? Now, to me, the biggest scandal of this story, John, is to have created something like this and obviously spent a lot of time and money and expertise. And, it's the most cutting edge technology, arguably, in the world right now. To spend all that time doing this and to not realize that within 12 hours, someone's going to ask you to show them a Nazi. Like, how do you not already know that about the way humans behave on the internet? If there wasn't anybody on that Google team that said, hey, what happens when you type in Nazi here? Because within 12 hours, someone's going to type in Nazi, then that team needs to be fired and they need to hire a new group because that's what people do on the internet. Anyway, it's been paused, I should say. They're going back and they're going to try to fix some of these bugs. There have also, I should point out, there have also been issues with this in terms of the text feature of this. So, for example, someone posted a screenshot online of asking them something about what happened on October 7th. Like, what did Hamas do in Israel on October 7th? And the response from Google's Gemini was, I don't know. There's conflicting reports. I don't show any evidence of a terrorist attack on October 7th. And this raises all sorts of questions about the ethics of these kinds of things, not only how individual users use them, but how they're defined and what we look to them for. So you'll hear a lot of times a sort of rosy picture from the people designing this kind of technology saying, this will help you compose an email or it will help you in your research. But then what people end up doing with it, again, within hours of it launching, it tends to be vastly different. Do you think the problem here is primarily one of design and intention or of use?
Well, I think if I were going to be the nice one here in the room, I would say that I do think I'll let you ask your daughters about that. I think if we were going to give this thing the benefit of the doubt, AI is always kind of pitched as it will get better, it will get better, it will get better. And the fact is, it will. And, this experience is one of the things that it will, one of the data points or sets of data points that it will take in, and this will be corrected very quickly. Should somebody have had the foresight and, throwing that stuff into the system, into the mix ahead of time and knowing it? Sure. Of course they could. It's bad for publicity and all that. But, the fact of the matter is it tells us a couple things. Number one, it shows us the sort of mistakes inherent to the human condition. Because when it's early like this, it kind of tells you something about humans, because the content that is being, what's the word, just kind of gone through by the programs in order to generate these images or generate these this information or this report is stuff that we put in. It's stuff that ultimately it was human created, and then there's some data set that they have access to, and then it's going to pull out what it can in a way that collates and pulls it together in a new way. All of those that are kind of worried that we're on the brink of human extinction, we probably got a little bit of time. That's one of the things that it tells us, right? Like, it's not imminent, but that the human condition is particularly susceptible to ideologies, and our technologies then become susceptible in a strange sort of way, which I think is absolutely fascinating, because it really, in a sense, is probably the rosiest, way to look at this, is that it's an argument for human exceptionalism. There's something about humans that a computer processor can mimic but can never be. There's something about who we are and our relationships with one another that we might want, for example, a companion that never gets old, never ages, never is, too edgy about anything. They say, I use they, in quotes, because we're talking about an it here with kind of a robotic companion that is one of the promises of this. But it's just not going to give and bring the level of connection that humans do. So the idea of human exceptionalism, I think, emerges in all this, and human frailty. I'm just struck, I guess, Maria, by, if we're going to kind of superimpose the biblical story here, which we don't have to superimpose it because it's the actual story. So I guess if we're going to understand this in light of the biblical story, it's really those first two chapters, creation and fall, creation and fall. There's something unique about the way humans were created. There's something unbelievable about being made in the image and likeness of God. It involves our hearts, our minds, our souls, our bodies. It involves our most intimate and important relationships. It involves kind of our role and place in the hierarchy of creation. And then also, man, we're foolish. And so many of the mistakes we make are done in the name of kind of technological hubris. And that, of course, is one of the stories here behind the promises. But I say all that and say, look, this is honestly, in the history of AI, this will go down as a funny story. And or as an eye roll story. It's not very funny, probably, for a lot of those who actually, ended up seeing this, particularly this stuff on the Hamas stuff. But this is going to go down as early day. We got over that really fast. But we're going to have to deal with AI because it's here, and we're going to have to be able to limit our expectations and not think that it's going to basically usher in kind of the utopian fantasy paradise that some think.